Welcome to Rare Coins Numix, where small coins can lead to big surprises. Some US dimes may look ordinary, but they carry extraordinary value due to rare minting errors and collector demand. Make sure to watch till the end, you won't want to miss how much these dimes have actually sold for. It's easy to overlook small coins in your pocket or loose change. Most people treat dimes like everyday money, a quick way to cover parking meters or vending machines, rarely stopping to think about their history, their design, or whether they might be worth more than their face value. But every once in a while, a dime quietly emerges from the crowd, drawing attention from collectors and experts alike. One such coin is the 2005 Roosevelt Dime, minted in Denver, which holds a subtle but important difference that makes it stand apart. The 2005 Roosevelt Dime features the familiar profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose image has graced this coin since 1946. The design honors Roosevelt's legacy as the 32nd President of the United States, remembered for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, as well as his advocacy for polio awareness and rehabilitation. His profile on the dime is instantly recognizable, with fine details including the contours of his face, the lines of his hair, and the inscription of Liberty alongside. On the reverse side of the coin, we see the classic design featuring a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch, representing peace, and an oak branch, representing strength and independence. This design has remained largely unchanged since 1946, reflecting the enduring significance of Roosevelt's presidency and the ideals embodied by the coin. In 2005, the United States Mint produced millions of these dimes across its facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins bearing the D mint mark come specifically from the Denver Mint, known for its high production numbers and role in meeting the nation's coin demand. Given the sheer volume of dimes produced, it's rare for any one coin to stand out, unless it has something special. What sets this particular 2005 Denver dime apart is an error known as a double die on the obverse, or front side, of the coin. To appreciate the significance of this, we need to understand the coin minting process. Coins are struck using steel dies, which are engraved with the coin's design in reverse. When a blank metal disc, known as a planchet, is struck by these dies, the design is transferred to the coin's surface. The dies themselves are created through a series of steps involving hubs and presses that transfer the design multiple times. If during this process the design is impressed twice on the die but misaligned slightly, the resulting die will produce coins with doubled features. This doubling is most commonly visible on letters, numbers, or design elements, appearing as a shadow or offset duplicate. It is important to distinguish this from coins that were struck twice or shifted during striking, as double die errors occur due to the die itself having the double design. The 2005 Denver dime with the double die obverse exhibits this doubling most noticeably on the inscriptions such as Liberty and the motto, In God We Trust. Under magnification, collectors can spot the subtle doubling on the edges of the letters, giving the coin a distinctive look that separates it from normal dimes. Errors like these are not common, but they do occur from time to time, especially in modern coinage where production volumes are extremely high. The double die on this 2005 dime was not publicly announced or documented for a long time, which allowed it to remain a relatively hidden variety. Because the doubling is subtle, many of these coins went unnoticed by the general public and even by many collectors for years. This makes the 2005 D double die dime rarer than many other modern coin errors, simply because fewer collectors are aware of it and have been able to identify and preserve examples. Collectors who specialize in error coins place a high value on double die varieties because they represent a very specific kind of minting mistake that is easy to verify and difficult to replicate. The rarity of this 2005 dime error, combined with the subtlety of the doubling, creates a unique challenge and appeal. Beyond rarity, the condition of the coin plays a critical role in determining value. Coins graded as mint state, meaning they show no wear and retain their original mint luster, are far more desirable and command higher prices. For the 2005 D double die dime, mint state examples are particularly rare, as most coins were circulated before collectors recognized the error. Coins that have been certified and graded by professional services help assure buyers and sellers of their authenticity and condition, which adds confidence to the value estimates. For this dime, high-grade examples have sold privately for significant sums, reflecting collector demand. Today, the estimated value of a well-preserved 2005 Denver double-die dime stands at around $36,000. This figure may seem high for a coin with a face value of just 10 cents, but it highlights the importance of rarity and demand in numismatics. It's a reminder that even the smallest and most common coins can sometimes hold extraordinary value. In conclusion, the 2005 Roosevelt Dime from Denver with the double-die obverse is a fascinating example of how a tiny production error can transform an everyday coin into a valuable collector's piece. It encourages us to take a closer look at the coins we handle every day, because you never know what might be hiding in your pocket. Moving on to the next coin, we have another dime that has quietly caught the attention of collectors due to a subtle but significant difference. This coin is the 2000 Roosevelt Dime minted in Denver, commonly called the 2000D dime. If you just glanced at it, you'd think it's just an ordinary dime, the kind that passes through countless hands every day. But for those who look a little closer, this particular dime tells a different story. The Roosevelt Dime series has been a staple of American currency since 1946, honoring Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. His image on the dime represents leadership during challenging times, including the Great Depression and World War II. On the front, or obverse, of the coin, you see Roosevelt's profile, carefully sculpted to capture his likeness. The reverse side features a torch symbolizing liberty, with an olive branch to one side representing peace and an oak branch on the other representing strength and endurance. Now, in the year 2000, millions of these dimes were produced across the country's mints, including the Denver Mint, which places a small D mint mark on each coin it produces. Denver is one of the busiest mints in the United States, so it's common to find dimes from this facility in everyday circulation. Despite the high production numbers, a small number of these 2000 Denver dimes stand apart because of a minting error known as a double die on the obverse. But what does that actually mean? To understand that, it helps to know a bit about how coins are made. Coins are produced by striking a blank metal disc, called a planchet, between two engraved steel dies. These dies carry the design in reverse, so that when the planchet is struck, it receives the positive image. Before they can be used, these dies are created through a process that involves multiple impressions of the design onto a steel blank. Sometimes, during this process, the design is impressed twice onto the die, but slightly misaligned on the second impression. This error causes a doubling of some parts of the design on every coin struck by that die. In the case of the 2000 Denver dime, this doubling is most noticeable on the obverse side, specifically on parts of the inscription such as the word liberty and the phrase, "In God We Trust." Under magnification, collectors see what looks like a shadow or a doubling effect on the letters, a telltale sign of a double die. This subtle difference is what sets these coins apart from the millions of other 2000D dimes produced that year. What makes this error so interesting is how easily it could have been missed. Because the doubling is subtle, many of these coins circulated without anyone noticing. This means that while millions of dimes were made, only a small percentage carry this error, and even fewer have been identified and preserved by collectors. Collectors who specialize in error coins prize these double die varieties because they provide a window into the coin-making process, a glimpse of how even a tiny mistake at the mint can produce something unique. For collectors, owning a double die dime is like holding a piece of minting history, something that represents both the artistry and the unpredictability of coin production. Condition plays a huge role in how much these coins are worth. A dime that has been heavily used and shows signs of wear will be less valuable, even if it has the double die error. On the other hand, coins that are in mint state, meaning they have never been circulated and retain their original luster and sharpness, are much rarer and more desirable. Because the doubling on this dime is subtle, it's even more important that the coin be well preserved so collectors can clearly see the error. Professional grading services help collectors confirm the authenticity of these coins and assign a grade to their condition. Coins that receive higher grades, like MS 65 or above, are especially prized because they indicate exceptional preservation. For the 2000 Denver double die dime, mint state examples are scarce, which makes them highly sought after. Over the years, the demand for this particular coin has grown steadily. Modern coins with notable errors often attract attention from collectors who specialize in varieties and errors rather than just rare dates or precious metals. The 2000D double die dime fits perfectly into this niche. It's modern, uncommon, and tells a compelling story about the minting process. All these factors, rarity, condition, and collector interest, combine to give this coin a remarkable value. Today, a well-preserved 2000 Denver Roosevelt dime with the double die error can be worth $42,000. That's quite an impressive number for a dime that originally was only worth 10 cents. It just goes to show how rarity and unique minting errors can drastically increase a coin's value. If you happen to come across a 2000 Denver dime, it might be worth taking a closer look, especially if you have a loupe or magnifying glass handy. You never know what hidden treasures might be sitting quietly in your change. Collecting coins like this is about more than just money, it's about discovering stories and history that most people overlook. Each error coin has its own little mystery, and that's part of what makes collecting so fascinating. It reminds us to pay attention to the small details, because sometimes the most ordinary things turn out to be extraordinary. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, coins like this offer a unique connection to the past. So keep an eye out, because sometimes the smallest coins can hold the biggest surprises. And who knows? The next valuable coin could be sitting in a drawer, a coin jar, or even right in your pocket. Stick around, because we've still got more fascinating finds ahead in today's lineup. Continuing with another fascinating dime in today's video, we turn our attention to a coin that has quietly risen in value among collectors. It's not flashy, it's not made of precious metals, and at first glance, it may look like any other 10-cent piece. But the 1996 Roosevelt Dime minted in Denver holds a special place in the world of modern coin collecting. Its value today may surprise you, and the reasons behind that value go much deeper than just age or condition. There's a story here, a mix of history, precision, and a rare mistake that transformed a regular dime into a true collector's prize. The Roosevelt Dime, introduced in 1946, was created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his passing. FDR was not only a towering political figure of his time, but he also had a personal connection to the fight against polio, making the dime, a coin long associated with fundraising efforts for the March of Dimes, a fitting tribute. The design has stayed mostly the same since its introduction. On the obverse, we see Roosevelt's left-facing profile, with the inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, the Year of Minting, and the mint mark. The reverse depicts a torch in the center, representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left for peace and an oak branch on the right symbolizing strength. By 1996, this design had become familiar to millions of Americans. It was a year like many others in terms of coin production, routine, high volume, and unremarkable on the surface. But as with many coins that later become prized by collectors, a small and unusual error during minting made all the difference. The Denver Mint, marked by the letter D just below the year on the coin's obverse, is one of the busiest mints in the U.S. It's responsible for producing billions of coins annually, which means speed and efficiency are crucial. In high-volume production, even minor issues can lead to variations, some minor and unnoticed and others extremely rare and valuable. In the case of the 1996 D dime, the key detail lies in a very specific type of minting issue, a double die. A double die occurs not when the coin itself is struck twice, but when the die used to strike the coins has a slight misalignment in the engraving process. During die creation, the hub that imprints the design onto the die may strike it more than once. If the impressions are slightly off, the resulting die will create coins with design elements that appear doubled, particularly visible in the letters, numbers, or fine details. On the 1996 D dime, the doubling is found primarily on the obverse side, in the text, often seen in Liberty, or in the year 1996, depending on the example. What makes this coin stand out is how few examples have been confirmed to have this doubling, especially in high grades. This type of error isn't the sort that everyone would spot immediately. Unlike dramatic mint mistakes that are instantly visible, such as missing designs, off-center strikes, or misaligned planchets, double dies often go unnoticed for years. Many are so subtle that only seasoned collectors with a magnifying glass or microscope would identify the error, because of this, many of the 1996 double die dimes likely went through circulation without being recognized. Some may still be sitting in change jars, drawers, or old rolls of coins. And that's exactly what makes them rare. When an error goes unnoticed at first, it limits the number of preserved examples, especially in good condition. And when collectors do discover them, demand quickly follows. As always, condition is one of the most important factors in determining a coin's value. A coin that's been circulated and shows wear is always less valuable than one that has been kept in pristine condition. In numismatics, collectors seek what are called mint state coins, those that have never entered circulation and still show their original shine, surface texture, and fine detail. For the 1996 dime with a double die obverse, mint state examples are especially scarce. That's because the doubling wasn't known or recognized widely at the time, so very few people thought to set these coins aside when they were freshly minted. Collectors also turn to professional grading services to evaluate coins like this. Trusted third-party organizations assess a coin's authenticity and grade, usually on a 70-point scale, with grades above MS 65, mint state 65, considered particularly high. A double die coin from 1996 Denver that has been professionally graded in mint condition not only confirms the variety but also increases its market appeal and value substantially. So why is this dime worth so much? It's not because of its age. 1996 is relatively recent in the world of coin collecting. It's not because of its metal content. The modern dime contains no silver, just copper and nickel. Its value comes down to a few key things: a rare and hard-to-detect error, a very small number of known examples, especially in top condition, and growing demand among modern-era collectors who recognize the significance of even subtle mint mistakes. Over time, as more collectors become aware of the 1996 double die dime and continue searching for it, the few high-quality examples that do exist become even more desirable. Rarity combined with attention tends to drive prices up, and that's exactly what's happened with this coin over the past several years. Today, the value of a well-preserved 1996 Roosevelt dime from the Denver Mint, with a clear and verified double die on the obverse, stands at an estimated $55,000. And the best part? This coin didn't come from an auction or a special release. It came from ordinary circulation. That means its next example might still be waiting to be found, in a roll, a drawer, or even in your pocket right now. Next in our lineup is a coin that most people would probably never give a second glance. It's small, light, and seems so common that it blends into everyday pocket change. But the 1984 Roosevelt dime minted in Philadelphia, marked with the letter P, is one of those coins that proves how deceptively valuable the ordinary can become when the right conditions align. At first glance, it looks like any dime. It carries the standard Roosevelt profile on the front and the classic reverse design that has been used for decades. There's nothing flashy or oversized about it, and it doesn't have the look of something that would be worth thousands of dollars. And yet, for some collectors, this particular coin has become a key piece in modern U.S. numismatics. Its sold value, in the right condition and with specific characteristics, has reached an astonishing $77,000. But let's take our time getting there, because the full story behind this dime is what makes that number truly meaningful. The Roosevelt Dime series was introduced in 1946. It was designed to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death the previous year. As the only four-term U.S. president and a leader who guided the nation through both the Great Depression and World War II, Roosevelt was a figure of immense national importance. Placing his image on the 10-cent coin made sense both historically and symbolically. The design itself has changed very little over the decades. On the obverse, we see Roosevelt's left-facing portrait, along with the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," the date, and the mint mark. The reverse features a vertical torch, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. These design elements symbolize liberty, peace, and strength, core American values that were especially poignant in the post-war years when this coin was first issued. By 1984, the Roosevelt dime had been in circulation for nearly 40 years. That year, the Philadelphia Mint struck millions of dimes as usual. These coins bore the P mint mark just above the date on the obverse, a practice that only began in 1980, when Philadelphia began placing mint marks on coins for the first time in its long history. Like most modern dimes, the 1984 Roosevelt Dime is composed of a copper core clad in a layer of nickel. These dimes are not made of silver. That changed in 1965 when the U.S. Mint switched away from 90% silver coinage. So the metal content isn't what gives the 1984 dime its value. Instead, its extraordinary worth comes down to a rare and fascinating error, one that occurred during the minting process and led to the creation of a small number of coins that were drastically different from the rest, even though the difference was incredibly easy to miss. The 1984 Roosevelt Dime P coin became especially significant to collectors due to a particular variety known as a double die obverse. This type of error happens not during the striking of the coin itself, but during the creation of the die, the metal tool used to stamp the design into blank coin planchets. Sometimes, if the hub strikes the die twice at slightly different angles, the design can become doubled. Coins struck using such a die will show signs of this doubling, most often visible in the lettering or numbers. In the case of the 1984 P dime, certain coins were struck with a die that had a doubled image. On these coins, the doubling is visible in the word liberty, the motto, "In God We Trust," and sometimes even in the date itself. The doubling may be subtle to an untrained eye, but under magnification, it becomes clearly identifiable. What makes this even more remarkable is how long this particular double die variety went unnoticed. For years, these coins passed through daily transactions without anyone realizing their significance. It wasn't until error specialists and advanced collectors began closely inspecting large quantities of coins from this era that the variety was confirmed and documented. The rarity of this error is what contributes to its value. Unlike commemorative issues or limited edition releases, error coins like these are never planned. They exist purely by accident. And because they aren't discovered right away, they are often found only after most have already been circulated, scratched, worn down, or lost. That makes locating one in pristine condition a serious challenge. Collectors often turn to grading services to evaluate error coins like this. Third-party professional graders will confirm the authenticity of the doubling and assign the coin a grade on a 70-point scale. For the 1984 P dime with a double die obverse, coins that receive a grade of MS 65 or higher are exceptionally rare, but even aside from condition, the market for this coin has been growing steadily. As more collectors become aware of the 1984 P double die dime, demand increases while supply remains incredibly limited. That classic supply and demand relationship is part of what has pushed the sold value of this coin into astonishing territory. And now we come to the number that often leaves people speechless. A verified and well-preserved 1984 Roosevelt dime from the Philadelphia Mint, featuring a clear and confirmed double die obverse, has sold for as much as $77,000. That's $77,000 for a 10-cent coin that likely passed through everyday hands, sat in drawers, and jingled in pockets across America. It's the kind of discovery that still surprises even veteran collectors, proof that some of the most valuable coins don't necessarily shine or sparkle. Sometimes, they're hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more rare coin finds. Your next valuable coin might be closer than you think. See you in the next video, and as always, keep checking your change, you never know what's out there.